All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our Microsoft Teams 101, as well as team and channel management training. My name is Shane Jaspers, and I work for Microsoft in the Impact Enterprise department, and it is my job to ensure that our customers are successful when using our products and services. So if this is your first time attending a live event with us today, before I get into the content, I just want to talk a little bit about the features that you will have available to you. So down in the lower right-hand corner of the screen should be somewhere below my mouse cursor. You should see a closed caption button. All of our live events are recorded and the captions are generated automatically. So if you click on that closed caption button, it looks like a little CC inside of a box. Then you should be able to enable the live captions for this training. If that does not work or the little box is not available to you, there should be a little gear or cog icon in that same area, and that will be your settings for the live event. You should be able to enable subtitles from within that menu. Now over on the right side of the screen, I've posted a couple announcements there, and this is the Q&A section for the live event. So because you are an attendee right now, you are simply going to be able to view my screen and hear me talk, but you will not be able to unmute yourself and respond. So we have this Q&A section over on the right side that will allow you to post any questions that you have. Now, while this training will include some Teams fundamentals, really the focus is going to be team and channel management, and we definitely want it to be more of a Q&A session for team and channel management. So if you have any questions about Teams in general or specifically about team and channel management, please go ahead and put them in the chat and we will be sure to address them. Now, any questions that you submit will be sent privately to myself and my moderators. But if it is a question that we are receiving a lot of, or just a question that we think should be shared publicly, we can publish it and then answer it publicly. Otherwise, we will respond back to you privately. And if there are any questions that are complex enough that I need to address them live, my moderators will go ahead and let me know, and I will take the time to go over them in the live demonstration. All right, so give me 1 second here and let's get started with our introduction to Microsoft Teams. Okay, so what is Microsoft Teams? Microsoft Teams is the hub for teamwork in Office 365. It integrates Office 365 productivity tools in one place, and it's the next level of communication through chat and calls, and collaboration through file sharing, co-authoring, and screen sharing. It is deeply integrated with Microsoft 365 products, including utilization of one's digital identity within Microsoft 365. Your permissions, presence, and more are tied to this identity. So as you can see, we have several different functions of Teams here, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper today into Teams itself, what it means and what you can use it for in your day-to-day life. But here are just some examples here. You can collaborate and communicate seamlessly. It's a single place for your teams to meet around unified objectives with easy access to the applications they use to be productive in their roles. You can even host voice and video meetings to bring the team together in real time. It also stores the files that matter in one place. So Teams is built on SharePoint, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper into what exactly that means when I say that Teams is built on SharePoint. But for now, just know that Teams will mitigate common workplace issues like document versioning confusion and permissions issues by housing and sharing your files in the cloud. So how many times have you been emailing a file back and forth among a group email, and somebody responds to an earlier email and not the latest one, and now you have 3 different versions of the file and you don't know which one is the most recent one? Keeping your files in Teams and by keeping them in Teams in SharePoint will prevent that from happening, as everybody will be able to edit the source version of the file. However, Teams also allows you to change the permissions for that file. So if you do not want everybody to be able to edit it, maybe you just want people to be able to view it, you can change that as well. So that is how you will be able to limit document versioning confusion and permissions issues. You can even roll back the version on a document if somebody has made changes that you do not want. And that's another thing that we will be talking about at length today. And then lastly, it does keep all of your tools in one place. You can use both Microsoft-based and third-party solutions alongside each other in a hub that centralizes your workflow and communications. Now, I will mention that it is likely most of the people on this call are using what we call the GCC version of Teams, and that is Government Community Cloud. And the GCC version of Teams is going to be behind the commercial version, because anything that is going to be used by the government for technology is going to need to go through a more rigorous testing experience, meaning you will need to, all of the features will need to be vetted to make sure that they are able to be used with the government. So because you are using the GCC version, there are some features that you will not have available to you. Third-party apps are usually one of those features. It is very likely that you will not have third-party apps built into Teams, so I'm not really going to talk to them. A few other features of Teams, such as the praise function, vary from organization to organization. It's not a GCC specific thing, it's more of an organizational thing. And we usually do have multiple organizations on these calls. So I do just want to point out that there are a few features that I may go over today that you may not see, and that could just be because they are disabled for your organization. So don't panic. Any of the features that are not available for anybody are usually not game-breaking features. So we like to call this the 3 C's of Microsoft Teams, and I know that there are actually 4 items here, but the 3 C's are essentially communication, collaboration, and customization. You can communicate through chat, meetings, and calls. You can collaborate together with integrated Office 365 apps, and you can, by collaborating, you can co-author those apps together at the same time. And you can customize your workplace and achieve more. Now, I know it also says that you can make calls in Office 365 and Teams, and yes, you can make calls between Teams members. There is also an additional license that your organization can get that will allow you to make calls to and from regular phone numbers using Teams as well. So for example, if you had a Teams meeting set up and you had this license, you would be able to call into that Teams meeting using your cell phone, for example, or even a landline. But that is an additional license, and I can't guarantee that everybody will have access to that. So last thing I want to talk about in this PowerPoint before I move on to the live demonstration is the ability to stay connected with a cross-platform experience. So you can access Teams in one of 3 different ways. The first is the desktop app here, and that is available for Windows 8 and up or Mac OS X 10.10 and up. And this is what I would say is the best Teams experience you're going to have. All of the features will hit the desktop version first and then eventually be rolled out to the mobile and web version. So you can get the desktop version simply by going to teams.microsoft.com and logging in with your work account, and it will prompt you to download the application if it is not already on your computer. I know some work computers will have it automatically pushed out as a installation. Next, we have the mobile application, which is available for iOS and Android. You can get the mobile application from your corresponding app store, whether you have an iPhone, an Android, or a tablet. And this app will not have all the exact same features as the desktop app. It is meant to be a more trimmed down mobile experience, but it is still very convenient. I use it on my phone, and I am able to do almost everything on my phone that I could do on my computer. And then the third version is the web app. If you go to teams.microsoft.com and it prompts you to download the desktop application or launch the desktop application, you can just choose to use the web app instead, which is what I am going to be demoing today. I use the web app because I am currently presenting to you using my desktop app, and I'm not able to demo the desktop app at the same time that I am presenting through it. So I will be presenting in the web app, and there are only a few things here and there that the web app can't do that the desktop app can do. One of them is the screen sharing options are not as robust inside meetings for the web app. And there are a few other options here and there that I may point out as we get to them. But for now, the screen background blur in meetings is not available during the web app either. But all right, so that's everything for my introduction. Give me 1 second while I switch my screen over, and I'm going to check on some of our questions while I do that.
Yeah, we do have a couple questions in the Q&A there, Shane. One, during a live Teams presentation, can the presentation be minimized? I just tried to view a message that came in the presentation window shrunk, but it stayed on top, so I could not read the message. Do I need to leave the presentation to close the window?
So during a live Teams presentation, you can switch over to a different window. If you are in chat, then it will stay in the, I know you can't see it on my screen right here, but this is where it would be. It would be in the upper left-hand corner. So let's say if I were switching over to chat here, this is where the window would be. In fact, you know what? I can just join a meeting real quick. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll meet now. Yep, that's all good. Go ahead, join. So you'll see that if I go up to my chat right here, the meeting window will be up here in the upper left-hand corner. But if I were to go to a different one, let's say, I think maybe if I go look at the calendar, yeah, it then becomes this little movable window here. So you can click the top and drag it around, but you cannot fully minimize this window. You can only drag it to move it. Otherwise, it will be up at the top in the corner if you are in the chat or the Teams section. So hopefully that answered that question. It should be a similar function when you are in a live event as well.
Great, thanks, Shane. Another question. Do you happen to know if F3/first-line license users can use the Teams desktop app, or are they just restricted to mobile and browser versions?
The first line license, I believe, is just the mobile and browser versions, because I think that is optimized for using tablets and mobile devices on the field. That is something that I would have to look up the specifics for, because I don't know it off the top of my head, but we'll make sure to get you that information by the end of the training. So thank you for that question. We'll make sure we get you a resource on that. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk about Microsoft Teams itself. So what I'm going to do is, because this training is going to focus mostly on the team and channel management available in here, I'm just going to talk briefly about chat, and then I'm going to talk briefly about calendar and meetings, and then I'm going to focus on Teams and team and channel management. All right, so if you are unfamiliar with Teams, let's do a quick tour of the user interface so you know what you are looking at. So this is unique to the web app here. On the desktop app, you would have a back and a forward button, but in the web app, you do have this app launcher in the upper left-hand corner. This gives you the ability to launch your other Microsoft 365 applications. This icon is also called a waffle. Anytime you see the waffle, it means you will be able to launch some more applications. These are going to be my frequently used applications. If I want to view more, I can click on Microsoft 365 here and jump to my other applications. Staying along the top bar, we have our new chat button right here. So anywhere from within Microsoft Teams, I can click on this button to start a new chat. Next to that, we have the search bar, and the search bar in Teams is very robust. You can search through anything that you have available to you in Microsoft Teams. That includes files, that includes people, and that includes messages. So the search bar is whenever you are looking for something specific, always recommend using the search bar. It is a great resource to be able to use within Microsoft Teams. So for example, earlier I was looking for a PowerPoint presentation that I knew one of my coworkers had uploaded, but I couldn't remember where she uploaded it. So what I did was I searched for her name and I narrowed it down by files, and it showed me the files that she had uploaded that I had access to, and there were only a couple of them, and I found the PowerPoint presentation I was looking for. So definitely something that is very useful. All right, so over here on the right, we do have the settings menu for Teams, and here you are able to view your login information. You can change your picture, change your availability, set your status message, see your saved messages, and view these settings. If I have time later, I'll probably go over these settings and some of the options that you can find in there. For now, I am not going to talk about that. Over here on the left side, you have the navigation bar for Teams. And if I click on the button on the top, that is going to be my activity feed. So my activity feed is very much like a notification feed that you might have on your smartphone, or a notification feed you have in social media. It is going to show you all of the things that have happened since you've last used the application. Whenever you are away from your computer, you can come back to this activity feed here, and it will allow you to see everything that you have missed. So these are all the things that are appropriate to me. So you can see that Mod Administrator has added me to a channel. They made me an owner. Akash mentioned me. And there you can see Akash reacted to my reply, so on and so forth. Brandon mentioned me. Adam mentioned me. So a whole lot of different notifications that are specifically for me. These are going to be posts inside your chats that you are a part of, unless you have muted the chat, which we will talk about. Or they could be mentions of you within specific teams that you are a part of. And you can also have certain teams give you notifications every time a new post is made. But again, I will talk about that more at length in just a bit. So next we have chat, and if you are familiar with Skype for Business, then the chat should seem pretty familiar to you. You do have all of your chats over here in recent with all the different people. You can have chats with individual people, like I have my chat with the Mod Administrator right here, or you can have group chats, such as the leadership meeting right here, feedback survey project team, so on and so forth. Anytime you select one of these chats, as you can see, it will show your chat history over here on the right. And I will just let you know right now, because this is a question we get a lot, you as a user do not have a way to delete your chat history with another user or a group chat. You can hide that chat, but you cannot delete the chat history. That is something that only a system administrator can do. Now, if it is turned on for your tenant, you can go in and delete individual message you have sent. So here's a message I've sent. I can click on this ellipsis and I can delete that message because it is enabled for my tenant. But if it is not enabled for your tenant, it's not something that you will be able to do. So just FYI. Alrighty, so underneath that we have the Teams section, and this is where we will be spending most of our time today, but we're gonna go closer over chat and calendar first before we go in here. This is where the teams that you are a part of will live, as well as anytime you click on a channel, it will show up over here. So again, I'm not gonna go over this right now. This is going to be what we go over for the second half of the training. Underneath this, we have our calendar, and if you are familiar with Outlook, then you should be familiar with the calendar within Microsoft Teams. The calendar in Microsoft Teams does mirror your calendar in Microsoft Outlook. However, you will only be able to join a meeting as a Teams meeting if it was either created in Teams itself by clicking on the new meeting button up here, or if when you created it in Outlook, you have clicked on the Teams meeting checkbox. So just FYI. Otherwise, your calendars will mirror each other, but do note that the Teams calendar right now does not have the ability to show shared calendars or group calendars. And then these last two options over here, I'm just going to briefly touch on. I won't go into them in depth. This is your calls section, and this is where you will find your speed dial, your contacts, your call history, and your voicemail. If you've used Skype for Business, your contacts will sync over, and you will be able to see your favorite contacts here. If not, you will have to build your contacts yourself. This is different than your organization's address book. So even though I have no contacts, I can still go search and I can find, for example, Adam. And I can find information about Adam just by searching him up there. So your organization's address book is in Teams by default, but when you add a contact as a favorite, this is where they will show up. Otherwise, this just allows you to make calls between other people, which is something that you can also do directly from within a chat. Which is how I usually do it. So this section is mostly for call history, contacts, and voicemail. And then here we have our files menu, and these are going to be all the files that have been uploaded to either chats or Teams that I am a part of. So we can see all of these files over here. These are the recent ones, at least. If I click on Microsoft Teams right here, it is going to give me all of them.
I got a real quick question in the Q&A for you, Shane. Can you set calendar reminders?
Calendar reminders are something that is handled through Outlook. So if you want reminders for your meetings and calendar events, that is something that is handled through Outlook. That is not something that is handled through Teams. But like I said, all of your Teams meetings will show up in your Outlook calendar, and all of your Outlook meetings do show up in your Teams calendar. So as long as you have a default reminder set for Outlook, your Teams meetings will all have that default reminder on them, and then you can go in and change those reminders individually for each meeting within Outlook. So that is a feature that is still unique to Outlook. That is a question we get a lot, is Teams here to replace Outlook? And no, Outlook and Teams are meant to work side by side. Neither one of them is going to be a replacement for the other. Outlook is not going away. So just FYI, but yeah, there are still going to be things that you will use in Outlook, and reminders are one of them. Another thing you can access in the files menu here is your OneDrive. So I don't have a OneDrive set up for this demo account here, but I would be able to see my OneDrive files here, create new ones, upload them, and all those other options as well. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about before we do our deep dive is this help menu down here. And this is very useful if you want to learn more about Teams after this training. I did post a YouTube link with our previous recorded sessions, but if you want to take some initiative and read on your own, you can view these articles in here. And there are also some videos that you can find as well. And all right, so I'm going to start our deep dive, but let's go ahead and check.
Yeah, so we have a question. If you want to show how you can set the settings for your status, like when it automatically changes your status to being in a call. They want to know where's the settings change to automatically back after like X minutes.
So up here in the upper right hand corner is the settings menu, and here is where you can set your availability. So if you are set to available, or you click reset status here, then your availability will change automatically based on certain actions that you take. When you are in a meeting or in a call, you will show as this red dot, you will show as busy. If you also have a time slot on your calendar marked as busy, and it is during that time, you will also be marked as busy then as well. So for example, if I created an appointment in my Outlook calendar, and really it was just focus time, I'm not meeting with anybody else, it's just, hey, please don't bother me during this hour. During that hour, I will show as busy in Microsoft Teams, even though I'm not in an actual meeting. That is just how it will work by default. Do not disturb will show if you are currently presenting. So if I am in a Teams meeting and I'm sharing my screen, it will show as do not disturb. And the purpose of that is you will no longer receive notifications from Teams or any other applications on your computer, because it will also automatically put you in do not disturb mode for Windows as well. The other two statuses here, appear away will show if you are away from your computer for or away from Teams for 5 minutes or more, it will automatically send you to appear away. However, when you come back and interact with Teams, that status will clear and you will go back to available. Be right back is something that can only be set as a manual status. So be right back is different than appear away in that when you hover over it, it'll say be right back instead of appearing away. So if you appear away, then people will see that you're away and they might think that you actually left your computer or you're not around that day. If you set it to be right back, then they know that you manually set it and you are going to actually be right back. So there's no way to have it set to be right back automatically, that it will set to away automatically, essentially. Be right back is a manual status. Now I will let you know, if you change to any of these statuses manually, it will only change back to available if you manually set it back to available or if you click on reset status here. So do be warned, if you set it to do not disturb, you will not receive any notifications until you set it back to available or you click reset status. So that is something that you do want to look out for. Alrighty. So I also saw something in here about the desktop version of Teams. And the last time we made this PowerPoint, 10.10 was the supported version, but you are correct, it is now 10.11. So thank you for letting us know that. It is only, 10.11 El Capitan or later. So thank you for pointing that out. I'm going to go ahead and change that in the PowerPoint, but if you're not on 10.11 yet, go ahead and update and you should be able to use Teams. Alrighty, so let's talk about chats. Now, chats are going to be free-flowing conversations that are very similar to direct messaging in social media or text messaging in your smartphone or instant messaging from way back in the day. That is what chats are going to be similar to. You can have one-on-one chats and you can have group chats. And like I said, the chat history is persistent. Even if I hide this chat, it will always have this chat history unless the system administrator deletes it for some reason. Now, there are some organizations with different retention policies. So there could be an organization where your chat history is deleted after 24 hours. There could be an organization where your chat history is retained forever. So it does vary from organization to organization, but you can't manually go in and delete your chat history. You can only delete specific items. So when we are in a chat, we do have some options available to us. I'm just going to briefly cover some of these options we have down here. First, we have the formatting option where we can change some of our formatting for our messages to make them a little flashier. We have our urgent delivery options where we can mark a message as important, or we can mark a message as urgent. Keep in mind, if you mark a message as urgent, it will notify the recipient every 2 minutes for 20 minutes saying that they have a notification in Teams, and they will get that notification in the desktop app, the web app, and the mobile app. Whatever they are signed into, they will get that notification. After 20 minutes, it will send them an email saying that they missed a message. Keep in mind, you can only do this for chats, and it is something that can be turned on or off by organization. Next to that, we have our attach paperclip, and here you can attach a file to your chat. Now we have two options here, share from OneDrive or upload from my computer. But I will tell you right now that these two options are really not that different. Because if I share something from OneDrive, it is just going to use a OneDrive link to share that file. However, if I upload from my computer, it's actually going to upload it to my OneDrive and then share that file that way. So let me go ahead and click on OneDrive. And as we saw earlier, we don't have any files in our OneDrive. So let's real quick upload from my computer, and let's just upload that PowerPoint right now. We already had that ready to go. And there you can see it's going to upload. And we'll click send. And now it is sharing that file with Adam. So I have shared that. However, now if I go to OneDrive, you will see that there's a new folder called Microsoft Teams Chat Files. And if I go in that folder, that is where that PowerPoint is stored. So anytime you share a file via a chat, it is automatically shared via your OneDrive. And you can either choose something that's already in your OneDrive, or if you upload from your computer, it will automatically upload that file to your OneDrive and then share it that way. So that is something you want to keep in mind. Anytime you are sharing that file in chat, it is sharing through your OneDrive. The next few options here we have are the fun options. You can insert little animated emojis. You can insert animated GIFs or GIFs, however you want to say it. And you can add little stickers and memes that you can customize. Again, these are things that can be enabled or disabled per organization. So if you don't have access to these, don't worry too much about it. They're just to add a little bit of added flair to your messages. Next to that, we have the ability to schedule a meeting within Microsoft Teams, and this will schedule a meeting with you as the organizer and all of the people in the chat you are currently looking at as required attendees. So if I were to click this right now, it will schedule a meeting and add Adam as a required attendee. If I were to do it from within a group chat, such as this feedback survey project team, let me go and click schedule a meeting there. You will see that now it has added Bonnie Jones, Asia Hill, Adam Shao, and mod administrator as required attendees. And of course, I am still the organizer. So clicking on schedule meeting down at the bottom is a great way to easily schedule a meeting with a group of people that you are talking to in a chat. And then lastly, we have the ability to add Stream. And Stream is essentially Microsoft's video hosting service for organizations. If you upload something to Microsoft Stream, if you upload a video to Microsoft Stream, it is only going to be viewable by your organization. So you can feel free to add, training materials is one of the things we have a lot. If you record a meeting within a Teams meeting, then it will be automatically uploaded to Microsoft Stream as well. And you can use this button right here to embed your Stream videos directly into chats. All right, so now that I have gone over all of that, let's just talk about managing chats a little bit, and then we will jump off to our next subject. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see that we do have some call options here. We can start a video call, which will just automatically call everybody in the chat. Now, if you click video call, it will enable your video, but it does not force everybody else to use their video. It's just a suggestion. However, you can do an audio call, which will just call everybody, and it won't suggest video. It'll just be audio, and your camera will be turned off. So you can choose to do either of those here. And then we have the add people button, but let's go ahead and look at what that looks like in a one-on-one chat first. So here's my one-on-one chat with Adam, and I have the ability to add people in the upper right-hand corner. And if I click on that, you can see that I can start typing a name. So let's go ahead and see, do we have, let's do Allison Clover, because I haven't seen her name around here. We'll click add. And there we go. Now you can see that I am starting a new conversation with myself, Adam, and Allison. It is starting a completely new group chat. And notice that my chat history with Adam is no longer present. I can send a message here. And now you can see that Shane has added Allison and Adam to the chat. And it's no longer has that chat history that I had with Adam. It's a brand new group chat. However, that functions a little bit differently if you add people to an existing group chat. So if I go to add people again, first you will see that I can now see the members of the group chat here. I can click on this X if I want to remove anyone from the group chat. I can also leave the group chat, but if I click on add people, you'll notice some new options here. I now have the option to include no chat history, to include history from the past number of days, or include all chat history. So let's go ahead and add Abby. And I'm going to include all chat history here. Hopefully nobody's been talking about Abby behind her back in this chat. And there we go. Shane has added Abby Quinn to the chat and shared all chat history. And that message is going to be visible to everybody in this chat. So that is something that you can adjust whenever you are adding a new person to a group chat. Maybe if there was sensitive information in the group chat and you're just bringing somebody in briefly to confer with them, you can add them to the chat and neglect to share that chat history. Now, of course, I can go in and say, you know what, maybe I didn't want Abby to be in here. Let me say hi, Abby, first. Maybe I didn't want Abby to be in here, so I can go in, I can hit this X here and remove Abby Quinn from the conversation, but they will still have access to the chat history. So once you add somebody to a chat, they will have access to the chat history for as long as they were present, as well as any chat history that you shared with them when you added them. So if I remove Abby, she's still going to have access to these messages because I shared the chat history, so she can see this one. And I said this one while she was in the chat, so she can see that one. However, she will no longer receive new messages when they are sent in this group chat. So that is, group chats are essentially a private way of communicating with other people. And I will be talking more about when you should use a group chat versus when you should use a team and a channel within a team. But for now, I'm just going to say group chats are better used for smaller groups of people and maybe more temporary projects. So if you're working on something that maybe you're only going to be on for a couple months, then you might want to make a group chat out of it as opposed to creating an entirely new team. However, a team could be something that's used for an entire department of people. But we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about teams. The last thing I want to mention is how you can manage your group chats over here on the left. As you can see, I have multiple group chats over here, and as I send messages, they all drift up to the top because this is sorted by most recent messages at the top. If I want to make sure a chat does not get lost in these messages, so let's say my chat with Brandon over here, and I know it says Braden, his name is misspelled, it's unfortunate, but my chat with Brandon over here is all the way down here at the bottom, and if we don't send any messages, it's a very real chance that his chat will get lost and I'll have to keep scrolling to find it. So what I can do is I can click on this ellipsis here, and I can pin my chat with Brandon. And now my chat with Brandon is going to stay at the top of my screen forever until I unpin it. And I can even minimize these recent chats. I can minimize these suggested chats, and I can only see my pinned chat right here. You can do that with up to 15 chats. And I, for example, my chats I have pinned are the group chats that I work in on a daily basis, as well as individual chats with all the people that I usually talk to on a daily basis. I'll have all pinned at the top so I can find them very easily, and then everything else is just here in the recent. Once again, if I click on Brandon right here, you can see we have some messages back and forth. I can also unpin my chat with Brandon, and I can even hide my chat with Brandon. Like I said before, once you hide a chat, it is no longer going to show up here in this list. However, I can just go search for Brandon, start a new chat with him, and as you can see, our chat history will come right back. And now I have my chat with Brandon, and it is back here. So you cannot delete the chat history, you can only hide it. All right, so that is everything for chat management. I'm going to talk about calendar next, but let's go ahead and see if we have any pressing questions.
One question, Shane, if you wanted to go over real quick, can the list of participants be accessed for a Teams meeting after the meeting has taken place? If you want to show where you can find that.
Sure. Let me see if it's available in this tenant here. So I'll do that in the course of talking about meetings here, because I'll need to have a meeting created before I do that. So here we are in the calendar, and right now we are looking at a work week view. It is Monday through Friday, but in the upper right hand corner here, we have the ability to switch to a day view, which will give us like a schedule overview. We can also switch to a week-long view, which will include Sunday and Saturday. I prefer to keep the work week because that is when I work. In the upper left-hand corner, we have these arrows here that let us navigate through the weeks here, and we can click on the Today button to jump right back to today. And then if we want to see the month view, I can click on that button right there and give us a view of the entire month here. So right now I don't have any meetings scheduled on this current calendar here, but that's easy to change. I can go ahead and start adding some meetings now. So let's go ahead, and in the upper right hand corner, I can meet now if I want to, and that will just start a private meeting with just me, and then it will allow me to invite new people as I want. But what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to click on new meeting right here, and let's go ahead and start a new meeting. And this is going to be, I'm just going to call it new meeting because I am just the most creative individual. And let's go ahead and start adding our attendees. We'll do Abby, we'll do Bonnie, we'll do Brandon. We have Adam. How about Marvin? Is Marvin in here? Yes, he is. There we go. We've got a nice amount of people. Now, if you've ever created a meeting in Outlook, you may remember Scheduling Assistant. Teams has Scheduling Assistant as well. So I can go up to Scheduling Assistant here, and I can look at the schedules and see when people are going to be not available. So for example, Adam right here is the only person who has anything on his calendar today. But at 4 o'clock, Adam is busy from 4 to 4:30. And in fact, if I were to change this to a 4 o'clock meeting, you can see that Adam now turns red. That is saying that he is busy during that time, and it is not a good time for him to be in that meeting. Everybody else has empty schedules. It's just showing as unknown, but if they had things on their schedules, we would be able to see it. Keep in mind that this does not show you the names of the meetings where people are attending. It only shows you the time slots and whether or not they are busy. So you aren't able to actually peek at the meetings that other people are attending. So now that I have decided when I want my meeting to be, I'm just going to keep it at 2 o'clock. I can change the recurrence options here. I can make it every weekday. I can make it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, or I can make it custom. Let's go ahead and make it custom. And we're going to have it repeat every week, but it's going to happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we'll go ahead and save that there. I can add a channel to invite an entire channel to the meeting. I can add a location. So even though this is going to be a virtual Teams meeting, if I wanted people to show up in the conference room as well, I could add that location here. If I wanted to meet at the Starbucks down the street, I could do that as well and add that location in here. So you can add any location you want, but by default, Teams meetings are also going to be virtual meetings. And then here we have the ability to create details for the meeting. This is much like when you create a meeting in Outlook, what you put in the body of the email. Let me go ahead and send this meeting invitation. And now you can see that it has created a meeting for Thursday. However, you can see there isn't one on Tuesday, but that's because it's not going to create a meeting for a day in the past. If I go to next week, we have one for Tuesday and one for Thursday. Now, the cool thing about this is whenever you create a meeting, it actually does create a group chat. So for example, let me click on this meeting here. And now you can see up here at the top, we have some new options, and one of them is chat. So I can go into the chat and I can say, hello, everyone. And now you will see when I go back up to chat up here, we now have a meeting chat. And because this is a recurring meeting, this meeting chat will stay consistent from meeting to meeting. So every Tuesday and every Thursday, we will have access to the same chat. So let's go back to the calendar here. And let's go into this meeting. And now that we have created this meeting, let's go in and join it. I'm going to continue without audio or video because it's not going to work anyway. So as we are joining this meeting, you can see that we have the ability to check out our camera and our microphone options, as well as various other options. So here, this is what we call the Teams lobby. I know some people who call it the powder room as well. But if you are going to join with your camera on, you can enable your camera here and see a preview of your camera image so you can make sure everything looks to your liking. You can also decide whether you want to join with your mic on or off. I would recommend, just as a rule, joining with your microphone off. It's usually common courtesy to not join in with a whole bunch of background noise when somebody else is presenting. You can also edit your devices here, so your speakers, your microphone, and your camera you can manage through here. You can join with your audio off, which might be helpful if multiple people in the same room are all in the same Teams meeting. If you join with audio off, it will prevent some annoying reverb and echoing in the background. You can join with your phone audio, so you can use your phone for microphone and speaker while you watch the meeting presentation on the device screen itself. Or if you are in a room that has audio and visual equipment, you can connect to the room by adding it right here. But let's go ahead and click join now. And we'll just talk briefly about some of the settings we have available to us here in the meeting, and then we will jump over to Teams. So real quick, I'm just going to go through these. We can turn our camera on and off here. We can mute and unmute here. This is our share tray. If I click on that, it's going to give me the ability to share my screen. Here I can share my screen, but you'll see I can't share any specific windows. That is because that is not a feature available in the web app, but if you are using the Teams desktop app, you could share a specific window. So for example, I am sharing my Microsoft Edge browser right now, and I can click over and now I'm looking at my email, but all of you are still looking at the Edge browser, and that's because I am sharing that specific window. Here I have the ability to raise my hand, and this can be useful if somebody is presenting and you want to let them know you have a question or you want to speak next. You can raise your hand and they will be able to see that your hand is raised. It's also useful for impromptu polling within a Teams meeting as well, where you can say, hey, everybody who agrees go ahead and raise your hand, and then you can count all the people who have raised their hands. Here we can view the chat conversation, and this chat conversation is open to anybody who was invited to the meeting. So even if they are not currently in the meeting, they are able to chat in here with other people who are in the meeting. And then here we can show participants in the meeting. Here we can see me, I am currently in the meeting, and here are all the other people I have invited. And you can even see this icon showing that my hand is raised. I'm going to go ahead and lower that now. Last item we have here is the hang up button, and this will just have me leave the meeting. Everybody else can continue on. It will just have me leave. Here we have some other actions. These first two are pretty self-explanatory: show device settings and show meeting notes. Meeting notes is something that anybody can add to if they want to take notes during the meeting. And device settings we already went over. But here let's look at show meeting details. And in this menu, we can actually go down to the bottom and click on meeting options. So here we can see that we can give people permission to bypass the lobby, meaning that when they are in that lobby at the beginning, whether or not they're able to join or whether they have to be manually added. So people in my organization, for example, can just join the meeting, but everybody else outside my organization, I will have to admit to the meeting. I can also let callers always bypass the meeting. I can announce when callers join or leave, or I can decide who can present as well, so who's allowed to share their screen. So it doesn't look like we have it available here, but this is the menu where you would be able to find the attendee report. Up at the top, there would be a little download icon, and that download icon would allow you to download the attendee report. Now, only the organizer and the presenters in a meeting can download the attendee report, so just keep that in mind. But this is where that icon would show up here in the upper right-hand corner of the meeting details. You would also be able to find it by going to this meeting details right here by clicking on your meeting here, and the attendee downloading the attendee report would be available here in this menu as well. So it's not available in this tenant that I'm currently using right now, but that is something that you would be able to use while using the desktop app. You can enter full screen here. You can bring up a keypad if maybe you are calling somebody into the meeting and they have an extension you need to dial. You can start recording the meeting. Like I said, the recording of the meeting is automatically uploaded to Microsoft Stream with the person who started the recording as the owner of that video. Now, only the organizer and presenters can start a recording. So if you are not an organizer or presenter, this button will not show for you. You can end the meeting, which instead of just hanging up and having you leave the meeting, will kick everybody off of the meeting. So if you just want to end the meeting and make sure that people aren't sticking around, you can do that. And you can turn off incoming video if you would like to save some bandwidth by having it so other people's video is not showing up. So I see one question here: only the organizer can permit in the meeting, or can anyone who is invited permit from the lobby? It's only the organizer, or if the organizer has designated select people as presenters, they are able to permit from the lobby as well. So I guess that basic question was, can the list of participants be accessed for a Teams meeting after the meeting has taken place? And that is yes. It is called the attendee report, and you can access it from the meetings details page. So it would be in here during the meeting, and after the meeting, you can just go into the details page here, and it would be accessible in there as well. That is where you would be able to find the attendee report for the meeting. But again, you can only download the attendee report if you are an organizer or a designated presenter. I'm going to go ahead and hang up on this meeting, And the last thing we're going to do is talk about teams and channels, and teams and channel management specifically. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them. But let's go ahead and talk about teams and channels. So now that we've talked about chats and meetings, let's talk about what a team is. So a team is a shared workspace, and you are either an owner of a team or a member of a team. If you click on this Teams icon here and you don't see any teams here, that means that you haven't created or been added to any teams yet. If you are an owner, you can go to the settings and control various options, which we're going to talk about in depth. But typically owners will request team creation. So chances are you probably won't be able to create a team right off the bat. You may need to request the ability to create a team. So if you turn on Teams and click on this button and you don't see anything here, let's talk about how to join a team. Down here at the bottom, we have join or create a team. We can click on that. And we have a few options here. I am an administrator, so I am able to just create a team. This option may not be available for you. I can join a team with a team code, and we'll talk about what a team code is and what it means when somebody shares a team code with us in a few minutes. And here I can also join this team. As you can see, this is a public team. It says public right here, and I can just go in and I can click join team, and that will allow me to join that team. Let's go ahead and click create a team and just talk about some of these options from the beginning first. So right now you can see that I have two options available to me. I can build a team from scratch, or I can create it from an existing Microsoft 365 group or team. If you are unfamiliar with Microsoft 365 groups, then let me just tell you a little bit about those first, because really they form the basis for teams in general. So you are able to create or join Microsoft 365 groups within your organization. Typically that's handled with Outlook. If you are using Outlook, you can create a new Microsoft 365 group. They were also originally called an Office 365 group, so those names are pretty much interchangeable right now. But essentially, it is a group of people with a shared goal or purpose in mind within the Microsoft ecosystem. So, for example, before Teams was a thing, I was part of a Microsoft 365 group that included everybody who worked at the Microsoft store that I also worked at. So everybody in that store was part of our own Microsoft 365 group. Now, when Teams came along, we created a team from that existing Microsoft 365 group. So as you can see, I could have clicked on this and created a team from that existing group. Now I will tell you that every single team has a corresponding Microsoft 365 group, because every Microsoft 365 group gets a shared SharePoint document library. They get a shared Outlook inbox. They get a shared Outlook calendar, as well as several other things such as planners, forms, streams, channels, so on and so forth. So when I mentioned that Teams is built on SharePoint, what I mean is that every Microsoft 365 group is associated with their own SharePoint site. And when you create a team, even if you build it from scratch, it will actually create a Microsoft 365 group from the people that you invite to that team, and that team will get its own SharePoint. So let's go ahead and build a team from scratch. Now we have two options available to us here. We can create a private team or a public team. A public team is like this Teams Champion one over here. Anybody can go click on join or create a team and join a public team from in there. But I want to go ahead and create a private team. I want to choose who joins this team. And now it's time to give my team a name, and let's call it the Teams and Channel Management, because once again, I'm very creative. I could give it a description, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and hit create. All right, so now let's add people. So I'm going to add all the regulars here. Adam, let's add Brandon, we'll add Bonnie, Abby, and there we go. That's looking good for now. Oh, Marvin as well. And we will add all of those people. So now that I am adding those people, you will see that it is giving me the option to change them from member to owner. So I'm going to go ahead and just make Abby an owner, because a best practice when creating a team is you always want to make sure that there are at least 2 owners of the team, if not more. The person who creates the team is always going to be an owner, but then you can designate somebody else as an owner, just in case you need to step out of the office, or you go on vacation, or some kind of leave, or maybe even you leave the company altogether. You always want to make sure that you have at least one other owner of the team. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, and it has now created our team. I can minimize these other teams here. And here is our teams and channel management team. So you'll see right here, Shane has made has added Marvin and 4 others to the team, and Shane has made Abby a team owner. So now we have created our team. So what is a team and what are channels? So a channel is inside of a team, and every channel has multiple tabs at the top. And a channel is dedicated to a specific topic, department, or project. Conversations around that topic, department, and project are held here, and the channel can be customized with its own tabs to bring resources into one place. A channel also creates a folder for the channel's shared files, and that folder is going to be in SharePoint. So let me first give you a metaphor for what a team is, and then I will explain when you would want to use a team and when you would want to use a group chat. So first, let's talk about a metaphor. This is a metaphor that a coworker of mine uses, and I shamelessly stole it from him, but I think it's a great metaphor. So a team itself is like a house. And just like a house, a team can have many people that live inside of it. You may have more people in a team than you have in your house, because you can have up to 10,000 people in a team. That would be a lot of people to have in one house. But the metaphor still holds. The channels within each team, let's go look at a team with multiple channels. Here we have multiple channels here, and we have multiple channels here too. The channels within a team are like the rooms within a house. So every house has different rooms in it, and each room has a different purpose. So for example, if I really wanted to, and if I tried hard enough, I could probably go to my attic to cook dinner, but I wouldn't want to. I would want to go to my kitchen. And the reason I would want to go to my kitchen is because my kitchen has the resources, or the appliances and the furniture that I need to accomplish what I want to get done, i.e. cook dinner. And those resources are very much like the tabs in a channel. So every channel has its own tabs, and tabs are going to be resources that you are using to bring together what people need for working within this specific channel. So once again, the team is like the house, the channel is like the room in the house, and the tabs are like the furniture and appliances in each room in the house that help you accomplish the goals of what you want to get done in each room. So let me just explain a little bit about how I use Teams and how I use group chats in my own life and what that means for you. So I used to work at a Microsoft store before Microsoft decided to go entirely remote operations and close the stores. And now I work for Impact Enterprise doing these kinds of trainings full time. When I worked for the store, we had a team that included everyone in the store. And within that team, we had a channel dedicated to each of the different business areas that our store encompassed. So for example, we had a channel for general, because all teams have a general channel, and that was where we just posted general things that maybe didn't fit into any of the other conversations. We had a channel for the answer desk, which is where I worked. I was a service advisor. I helped fix computers, and I worked at the answer desk, and we had a channel for the answer desk. We also had a channel for inventory. We had a channel for business sales. We had a channel for gaming. We had a channel for community. All of these channels were there because everybody in the team would be able to view everything posted in those channels. And it was where people who worked within those departments could get information out to everybody in the team. So I worked at the answer desk, and if there was something that happened, some policy change or something else that I thought everybody in the store needed to know, I could post it in the answer desk channel in our team, and then everybody on my team would be able to see that information. It would be categorized in the answer desk channel, so if somebody needed to come back and find it later, they could easily find it within the answer desk channel, and everything would be organized. Same with if somebody who worked for inventory wanted to get some information out regarding inventory, they could post it in the inventory channel, and once again, everybody would be able to read it. Then if somebody who worked for gaming, say we had a cool new game come out, or maybe we had some new gaming events start, whoever was involved in gaming would be able to post in the gaming channel and let everybody know about that. So channels are places where you can reach everybody on a team, but you can still target the category of what you're talking about. Now, that is how I would use a team and channels, but how I use chats were a little bit different. And I'm sorry that there's not a lot going here on the screen. I just want to do some basic explanations. A chat is more of a private conversation. So like I said, I worked at the answer desk. I'm a service advisor. I had other service advisors that I worked with. And a lot of times we would have conversations around specific things that needed to be done in the service room, as well as specific customers that needed to be taken care of. And all of those things are things we only needed to talk about amongst ourselves. It was information that didn't need to be viewable by the larger team. And so for that, we had our own group chat. So if I wanted to upload resources that I only wanted the answer desk team to have access to, or I needed to talk about a computer that needed work on in the back, or I wanted to talk about an upcoming appointment I had, I would talk about that in my answer desk group chat, because that's something that only my answer desk coworkers needed to know about. If somebody was involved in sales, they wouldn't need to know about that information. It wouldn't apply to them. So I didn't need to clog up the answer desk channel with all that information. That is when I would use a group chat. So using a team is something you would want to do when you're posting information that you want to be viewable by everybody in the team. And you would do that and categorize that information you're posting by specific channels. Using a group chat is when you want to have a conversation that is more private than other conversations you would have within Teams itself. So I hope that helps when it comes to explaining when you would use a team versus when you use a channel. So awesome. I do see a question here. Where are files stored in a chat versus where are they stored in a team channel? So I did mention that when you upload a file to a chat, it is uploading to OneDrive. So I'll show you that one more time. Here I am in a chat, and if I want to upload a file here, I could click on OneDrive and it will share any file that I have in OneDrive. But I could also click on upload from my computer. And if I upload from my computer, it is actually going to upload that file to OneDrive. So as you can see right here in OneDrive, I have a file called Microsoft Teams chat files. And anytime you upload a file from your computer to a chat, it is going to automatically put that file inside this folder and share it via the chat there. So that is how you are going to share files via OneDrive in chats. However, within a team and a channel in a team, it's a little bit different. If I go to upload a file, it's still setting up. Let's go to a different one. If I were to upload a file, let's go ahead and upload that same file, upload from my computer. And we'll do that same file here. You can see it's going to upload right here. And there we go. That file was actually uploaded to a SharePoint folder. So every channel within a team has a corresponding SharePoint folder. And so when you upload a file to Teams, it will upload it to that SharePoint folder. So here we are in Files at the top. We're in the Files tab. And you can see we have our files and folders that have been uploaded to Teams. In fact, we can go one step further and we can click on this ellipsis right here and we can click Open in SharePoint. And we're actually going to see the folder structure in SharePoint that corresponds to the team we are currently looking at. And in fact, if I go one step up to the SharePoint documents, you'll see we have folders here that are based on the channels that we have within that team. So each channel gets its own folder in SharePoint, and we can then use that to upload our files. So all of the teams have a SharePoint site on the back end, and that is where the files are going to be stored. Those are going to be the basic differences between uploading to chat and SharePoint. I see another question, what are the differences between using OneDrive and SharePoint? And the way I had it explained to me is you are using OneDrive when, number one, you are uploading files that you want to have access to, or if you want to share that file with one other person, two other people, low numbers of people. However, you would use SharePoint if you want to share a file with a large group of people. So just like you would use a team with a large group of people and a group chat with a smaller group of people, SharePoint is going to be sharing files with a large group of people. OneDrive is sharing files with a smaller group of people. File size limitation when uploading within Teams is 15 gigabytes for one file. It's the same limitation that you have on OneDrive for Business and SharePoint. And can you only archive teams and not delete? Yes, that is correct. You can only archive a team. You cannot delete it. Once it has been archived for a year, it will be basically discontinued, and that is essentially the same as being deleted. You can, of course, contact Microsoft support, and if a team has been archived for over a year and it does get deleted, you can have it restored, but it's kind of a lengthy process, so you don't want to rely on that. Once you have archived a team, only owners will have access to its content. So members will no longer have access to the content of a team once it's been archived, only owners. So now we have our teams created. So let's go ahead and go to our teams and channel management team, and let's start to manage some of the options here. So when I click on this ellipsis, you'll see we have some options here. We can hide it, and I'll hide it real quick just so you can see. It is not the same as hiding a chat. It'll show up here under hidden teams. Now, whenever you hide a team, you will no longer get notifications from that team unless you are directly mentioned by that team. But we can always click on that ellipsis and we can click show, and that will show the team itself. The other options we have here, add channel, add member, edit team, those are all things that we have available to us in the manage team menu. We can also leave the team or get a link to the team or delete the team. And again, deleting the team does just archive it. But let's go ahead and click manage team here, and we'll go over in depth some of the options we have for managing this team. So here it will show the owners, the members, and the guests for a team. First, it'll show the owners, and because I am an owner of the team, I can go in and I can demote people if I want. I could change Abby back to a member if I wanted to. Be careful because you can also change yourself to a member, and if you do that, you'll need to contact one of the other owners and get them to promote you back to an owner. So definitely want to be careful with that. You can also add a member from within here. And I do just want to let you know that members are able to see this screen too, although they cannot promote people. And if a member clicks add member and it is a private team, then that person will not be automatically added to the team. They will actually show up here in pending requests, and an owner will have to come in and approve the addition of that person to a team. So if an owner adds a member to a team, then they will just automatically join the team. Next, we have the options for channel management, and let's go ahead and start making some new channels. So this is teams and channel management. So let's go ahead and add a channel here, and this channel is going to be the training channel. And I'm going to click add, and you see we have some other options here. We can add a description. We also can set some privacy options. We can change it from standard to private, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to leave it as standard. And I can also choose to automatically show this channel in everyone's channel list. I'm going to leave that unchecked for now and click add. And here we have our training channel. But if I go back up to general, maybe I've decided that that file I uploaded, I didn't upload it here. That's great. So maybe let's go back up to this Newsletter Ninjas channel, and that file I uploaded, that deck here, maybe I decided I don't want it here anymore. So what I can do is I can move this. So let's go move this file, and I can move it to a different team. I can go up, I can go up. Let's click on Teams and Channel Management, and let's put it in the training channel. And we're going to move it there. And now you can see that file is no longer here in Newsletter Ninjas. It has actually been moved to the training channel. We'll go look at files here, and you can see, there we go. I have moved that file. So I can freely move my files between teams that I have access to. Let's go ahead and add another channel here. And this channel is going to be the leadership channel. And this is only going to be certain people. And so I want to make this channel private. So let's make this channel private. I'm going to hit next. It's going to make the channel. And now I have to manually add people to this channel because it is a private channel. When a private channel is created, I'm just going to add Abby. When a private channel is created, it is invisible to people who are not invited to the channel. So there could be private channels in teams that I'm a part of that I don't even know about. So here, notice that because I'm creating a private channel, I actually have the ability to choose whether or not Abby retains her ownership permissions while she is in that channel. I've decided she does, so I'm going to make her an owner. And there we go. I'm going to hit done. And now we have this leadership channel. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back into Manage Team here. And we're going to go back to channels. And now we have a few other options here. So as you can see, we have our channels, general, leadership, and training. And show for me is checked. And what that means is that these channels are shown and not hidden. And if I were to uncheck these options here, you will see that now it says 2 hidden channels. And that is another way you can organize your channels in your teams. You can hide channels that are not pertinent to you. So if you're in a large team that has a lot of channels, and maybe there are some channels that have information being posted in them that you don't necessarily need to hear all the time, you can hide those channels so that they will show over here. Now, if I click on one of these channels, it'll show up here, but it'll be italicized. So that means it's still hidden. And if I navigate away from it, it's going to go back into hidden. Of course, I can't always look at these channels and click on show. and that will allow me to show those channels back up again. When we are managing our team, you can see that we also, in addition to showing the channels for us, we can choose whether or not we want the channel to show for members. So when somebody joins the team, whether the channels they see are hidden or not by default. So now that we have talked about creating those channels, let's talk about some of the settings we have available to us when managing teams. So first thing we can do is we can upload a team picture. By default, it's always just going to be a little abbreviation of the team that you create, but here you can add a new picture to make your team more identifiable. Underneath that, we have the ability to create member permissions. So here we can choose what our members are allowed to do. We can allow our members to create and update channels. We can allow members to create private channels. We can allow members to delete and restore channels. We can allow members to add and remove apps. We can allow members to upload custom apps, allow them to create, update, and remove tasks, create, update, and remove connectors. I'm sorry, tabs, not tasks. Give members the option to delete their messages and give members the option to edit their messages. So like I said earlier, when I was deleting messages, that is something that is turned on or off by organization. If it is turned on for your organization, it is possible that it may not be turned on for your specific team. So just keep that in mind. You can also allow guests to create and update channels or allow guests to delete channels too. Here you can choose who is allowed to mention an entire team or an entire channel. Mentioning is when you use the @ symbol to tag somebody in a post. And by default, everybody can mention an entire team or an entire channel. So for example, here in general, I can say @teams and channel management, and that'll send a mention notification to everybody who is a part of the team. I can also just go to training and say @training, and that will mention everybody who is a part of this specific channel. Now that, oops, not @channel, goodness me. Manage team, please. Now that setting I was looking at, this allows people, members to mention the entire team and the entire channel or not. So if you have a ton of members, maybe you don't want everybody being able to just mention everybody at once. So you can turn this off for members if you prefer. So here we have the ability to generate a team code. And a team code, let's generate it. A team code will allow people to join your team bypassing the pending request screen. So if you have a private channel and you want to mass invite people, you can email out the team code, and everybody with that team code will be able to join the team, and they will not have to go through the pending requests. However, because that is the case, sometimes a team code might get out and you might have some undesirables joining your team. If that happens, you can remove those people from your team, and you can also reset the team code, and the old team code will no longer work and you'll have a new team code. If you have decided, however, that this team code is not something you want to use at all anymore, you can click remove, and it will just disable the use of team codes for that team. Now here you can see guests will not be able to join with a team code. That is something you should keep in mind. Lastly, you can choose whether the fun stuff is allowed in your team, the GIFs, the stickers, and the memes. All right, so we have a couple more questions coming in. Is there a way to see a listing of all channels, even ones I am not a member of? Within a team, if there is a private channel that you are not invited to, that you are not a member of, you will not be able to see that private channel. So you will not be able to pull a report of channels, even if you are not a member of them. So the answer to that question is no. And will this training, once it's over, be accessible at any time? The answer to that question is yes. If you look in the announcements, I actually posted a YouTube playlist, and that YouTube playlist contains recordings of all of our past sessions. Once this session is over and the recording is done processing, the organizer, Abby, will add the recording to the YouTube playlist, and you will be able to go to that playlist and view this training. So if you need me to post that again, I can. Here I can go, and one more time I will post that YouTube playlist here. There you go. That is the YouTube playlist. You can look at that playlist, see all of our previous trainings, and you will be able to see this training once it is over. And there you go. I'll send it directly to you as well. Alrighty, so at this point we have a few more minutes left in the presentation. I'm just going to open up the rest of the presentation to questions. So if anybody has any other questions, please feel free to ask them. I'm going to add one more thing as an announcement though. So please, I highly recommend, or I guess I am asking to follow this link to fill out a survey. How we did today. Microsoft very much appreciates feedback, so I would really appreciate it if you were able to follow this survey and fill out this form, which will ask how you felt about today's training. It will also ask you how what you would like to learn in future trainings. So that is how we can determine what trainings we are going to perform in the future, is by the responses to that survey. So I would definitely appreciate it if you were able to fill out that survey and tell us what you thought about today. All right, so 3 more minutes left in the presentation. Once again, if you do have any more questions, please ask, and we will be happy to answer them. Alrighty, it is 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so that is all the time we have today for this training. So I want to once again thank everybody for showing up for our training today. I would like to thank my moderators for being able to answer many of those questions. Pretty please go ahead and fill out that survey for us. Let us know how we did and what you would like to see from us in the future. And I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the day and wonderful weekend.